You might think she's pulling away because she's losing interest. That's usually the first story that forms in your mind. The warmth fades, the long messages disappear, and suddenly the girl who used to send paragraphs now replies with a single word. It feels like something broke. Naturally, you start wondering what you did wrong. You replay conversations in your head, scroll back through old messages, and look for the exact moment where everything changed. The mind starts building explanations. Maybe you said the wrong thing. Maybe you moved too fast. Maybe she just found someone better. And once that thought enters your head, panic quietly begins to take over. You start texting more than usual. You try to be funnier, more interesting, more attentive. You check her social media late at night to see if she's active, if she watched your story, if she liked someone else's post. Every small signal suddenly feels important. A delayed reply feels like rejection. A short message feels like proof that she's slipping away. But what most people don't realize is that this reaction, this anxious chasing, is often the very thing that pushes her further away. The reason this happens is because many men believe a very simple formula about attraction: when a woman is warm, she's interested, and when she becomes cold, she's losing interest. It seems logical and easy to understand, but human emotions rarely follow such simple rules. When the warmth disappears, men assume the relationship is ending, so they try to fix it immediately. They start explaining themselves too much, asking more questions, seeking reassurance, and trying to pull the connection back to how it used to feel. Slowly, without realizing it, they stop being the person she was originally attracted to. The confident, relaxed version of themselves gets replaced by someone anxious and uncertain. Their focus shifts away from their own life and onto her reactions. Their mood starts depending on her response time. Their confidence begins rising and falling based on a text message. But here is something many people never consider. When a woman truly doesn't care about a man, she usually doesn't create emotional distance like this. She simply disappears. She ghosts. She stops replying or becomes politely distant in a way that feels empty. There is no tension in it, no confusion, no emotional charge underneath it. It's just flat. That is what genuine indifference looks like. The situation that confuses most men is different. She still replies, but the energy has changed. Her messages are shorter. She sounds slightly guarded or irritated. Something feels different, almost like there's a wall that wasn't there before. That kind of coldness often has emotion underneath it. It's not always the absence of feeling, sometimes it's the presence of feeling mixed with fear. When someone starts developing real emotions for another person, the situation changes psychologically. At first, everything feels light and exciting. There is curiosity, attraction, and fun. But once deeper feelings begin to grow, a new element appears: vulnerability. Now there is something to lose. If someone has been hurt in the past, their mind remembers that pain. Maybe they trusted someone who left. Maybe they opened up too much and didn't receive the same effort in return. Maybe they allowed themselves to depend emotionally on someone who eventually disappointed them. Because of those experiences, the nervous system becomes cautious. So when real feelings start appearing again, a quiet alarm goes off inside. It doesn't always happen consciously, and the person experiencing it may not even understand why they suddenly feel different. But the mind starts slowing things down, creating distance, observing more carefully. It becomes a way of protecting oneself from getting hurt again. In that moment, something subtle is happening. Without directly asking, she may be watching to see how you respond. Not as a calculated game, but as a natural psychological reaction. She is trying to understand whether the connection is safe, whether you are emotionally stable, and whether your confidence depends on her constant attention. This is where many men unknowingly fail the moment that actually mattered most. Instead of remaining calm and grounded, they react from fear. They chase harder. They seek reassurance. They stop focusing on their own lives and become fully absorbed in the relationship. The gym gets skipped. Time with friends decreases. Sleep becomes worse. The mind keeps circling around one question: what is she thinking right now? Ironically, this reaction slowly removes the very qualities that attracted her in the beginning. The man she originally liked had his own life, his own direction, his own sense of self. He was confident, relaxed, and emotionally steady. But the moment he feels her pulling away, he abandons those traits. His world shrinks until it revolves entirely around her responses. From her perspective, that change can feel unsettling. The person who once seemed stable now seems dependent on her validation. The emotional pressure increases, and the distance often grows even more. This is why the situation needs a different way of thinking. Her coldness is not always a final decision about you. Sometimes it is simply a moment of uncertainty. Instead of being a verdict, it can be more like a question. The question is not spoken out loud, but it's there. Who are you when the attention stops? Who are you when the good morning texts disappear? Who are you when the reassurance is no longer constant? Do you panic, spiral, and chase? Or do you stay calm and continue living your life with the same confidence you had before she entered it? The strongest response is not to fight the distance or try to force warmth back into the situation. It is to remain grounded in yourself. To keep moving toward your goals, maintaining your routines, seeing your friends, taking care of your health, and continuing the life you were already building. Because the truth is simple. The person she was drawn to in the beginning was someone who already had a full life and a stable sense of self. When that person remains unchanged, even when the emotional temperature shifts, it communicates strength far more clearly than any message or explanation ever could. What she's really watching is not whether you chase her, but whether you are emotionally solid. So imagine the kind of man who handles this situation well. He doesn't panic when she doesn't reply. If she leaves his message on read, he doesn't send another text 40 minutes later just to see if she'll answer. He doesn't invent excuses to message her or try to create situations where he can run into her. When he reaches out, it's because he genuinely wants to, not because anxiety is pushing him to. He has trained himself to recognize the difference. This man also has a life that doesn't stop because of her mood. He has goals that matter to him. He has friends who keep him grounded and challenge him. He works on his health and his body. He spends time improving his skills and building something meaningful for his future. These things are not done to impress her or make her jealous. They are simply part of who he is. They were there before she came into his life, and they will remain whether she stays or not. That isn't indifference. It's completeness. He also understands that his emotional stability is his own responsibility. If she is distant today, his entire day doesn't collapse because of it. He doesn't need her warmth just to feel okay. He can handle uncertainty without letting it ruin his mood, his productivity, or his peace of mind. When he gives her space, he doesn't feel like he is being abandoned, because he is still present in his own life. When he does communicate, he does it clearly and calmly. If enough time passes and he feels something needs to be addressed, he doesn't attack or beg for reassurance. Instead, he might simply say something like, "I've noticed you seem a bit distant lately. I'd like to understand what's going on." He says it without anger and without desperation. He isn't accusing her, and he isn't apologizing for asking. He's simply being honest. Then he listens to what she says. And most importantly, he lets her answer be what it is. He doesn't rush to fix it or control it. Very often, something interesting happens in that moment. When she sees that he isn't panicking or trying to force things, she starts to relax. Her guard begins to drop, not because he pushed through her walls, but because she realizes those walls may not be necessary. Now think about what you should actually do if you find yourself in this situation. The first step is to stop chasing her emotional temperature. Stop constantly checking whether she is warm or cold and adjusting your behavior to match it. If she seems distant, you become distant. If she becomes warm again, suddenly you feel amazing. That pattern isn't healthy connection. It's emotional dependence. Break that cycle. The second step is to redirect your energy back to your own life right away. Don't spend days overthinking the situation. Instead, do the things you already know you should be doing. Call the friend you haven't spoken to in a while. Go back to the workouts you skipped. Continue working on the projects and goals that matter to you. Do these things not as a trick to make her miss you, but as a way of respecting yourself and your own life? The third step is to give her space without turning that space into punishment. Some men say they're giving space, but inside they are full of resentment. They stay quiet while secretly hoping she will notice and come running back. That isn't real space. That's just a silent form of pressure. Real space is calm and generous. It simply means you allow her time while continuing to live your life. The fourth step is to avoid letting the situation stay unclear forever. If she has been distant for a long time and you have already given space, you can reach out once in a simple and honest way. Say what you mean in a calm tone. Then let things unfold naturally. A man who speaks honestly once and then remains calm afterward shows far more confidence than someone who sends many messages trying to get a reaction. The fifth step requires the most courage. Accept that her distance might be about something you don't fully know. Maybe she is dealing with personal issues. Maybe she is sorting out her own feelings. Maybe something in her life has changed. Your role is not to solve everything for her. Your role is simply to remain consistent, calm, and grounded. And there is something very important you should remember. You are not the problem just because you care. Wanting to understand what is happening does not make you weak. Caring about someone is normal and human. But what needs to stop is the habit of letting her silence define how you feel about yourself. You cannot keep shrinking your life just to fit into the small space someone gives you at the moment. Your life matters too. You are not just a side character in someone else's emotional story. You are the main character in your own life. When you start living with that mindset fully and confidently, something changes inside you. You stop feeling desperate. You start feeling free. And real freedom is one of the most attractive qualities a person can have. Her coldness does not decide your worth. Her silence does not define your value. It is simply one moment in a much larger story that is still being written. The only question that truly matters right now is this: who do you choose to be in this moment? Not who she wants you to be. Not who you think you must become to keep her. But who you decide to be when things feel uncertain and difficult.